On May 8, 2018, Judo Canada put out an article that reads, Benjamin Kendrick is ready to lead the next generation. Quote, in the past few decades, the popularity of judo in Canada has increased thanks to judokas like Nicolas Gill and Antoine Valois-Fortier, who medaled at the Olympic Games and inspired future athletes to try out their sport. The next generation of great athletes is in the making, and Benjamin Kendrick is there to lead the way, unquote. Now, Benjamin competed at his first nationals at the age of 13, his first Pan Am Championship at 16, and got his first international podium, a bronze medal at Worlds at the age of 17. He's a second-generation judoka. Both of his parents, Nathalie Gosselin and James Kendrick, are former members of the Canadian national team. In this interview, we're going to hear from Benjamin Kendrick.
I feel like I always have like a mental edge on whoever I'm fighting.
As well as James Kendrick.
Because no matter where you go in Canada, and that's the good standard about judo, it is judo. Judo, there's only one judo.
Make sure you follow Benjamin Kendrick on Instagram. His handle is Mr. Kendrick. That's M-I-S-T-A Kendrick on Instagram. Follow him right now. Benjamin is, of course, an ambassador for Judo Ontario. And he's sponsored by Savvy Sport as well as All Max for supplements, Biosport, EC3D, Hitashida, and he's a member of the Takahashi Dojo. All right, let's jump into this. Last time I spoke to you was about 3 years ago, and a lot has happened. A lot has
changed.
A lot has changed. Give us, if you remember our last conversation that we had, but both your parents were in it as well. Give us an update as to what has happened in the last 3 years to Benjamin Kendrick. I can tell you're physically much bigger. I think you've put on maybe 20 pounds or so.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Well, I mean, since we talked last, 3 years ago, I've been, I kept doing my thing. Kind of. I've been training a lot. Recently, last year after the Cadet World Championships, I signed a contract with Judo Canada, and I actually got carded. So now I live there full time, and I train there. So
congratulations!
Thank you. It's been it's been pretty good since then. And before that, I kind of just kept doing my thing. Here in Ottawa, I used to train in Montreal occasionally, weekly actually. And I just kept going to competitions, try to do my best, and now here I am, where I am right now,
What does it mean to be carded? Explain that to us, because the general public may not understand.
All right, so being carded basically means that, with my national association, which is Judo Canada, they give you money, a per diem kind of thing every month, so that you pay your expenses, whatever, where you live in Montreal, your food, for training in different international events or national events. And that's basically what I have now. It's a contract that you sign, and it basically means that you have to train in Montreal full time at the National Training Center, the INS, l'Institut national du sport Québec in French, because it's in Quebec, and you have to train there full time. You have to attend practices and go to events that Judo Canada want you to go to, and that's basically part of some of the rules of the contract. There's plenty more, but in brief, that's what it means. So
at that INS, he has all the judo technical staff that he can have. He's got massage people, he's got athletic trainers there. He's got nutritionists, dietitians, like full-time staff around that whole, and physios, massage people to help him. And he is an amateur athlete, but I've seen him mature into kind of a professional amateur athlete.
For your judo career, what does that mean for you as far as being in Montreal and competing at the National Center? What does that mean?
Well, training at the National Center is amazing,
in comparison to your situation before, because I believe you guys were commuting back and forth.
Yes, that's right.
Which is
it's pretty exhausting.
Yeah, I want to say it. Yeah.
After a while, yeah. But no, it's great, because the National Center is where all the best judoka in the country are, and I get to train there every day, so with the best. And the ones that go to the Olympics and World Championships. So it's great quality training. There's all the national coaches there as well. And going to these international events for Canada, for Judo Canada, my federation, it's just amazing. The carding really helps, because it's like a support, in the long run. And it's a contract that you sign, and you have to obey the rules and stuff, but it's just part of it. It's just amazing to have that.
In the last 3 years, how would you say your judo has changed? How has your game changed? Physically, you've obviously gotten bigger.
Yes.
Speak to us as to what you've learned in the last 3 years and how you've evolved as a competitor and practitioner?
Well, in the past 3 years, ever since we last spoke, I kept going to national competitions and international events. I started going more and more. I think actually right after we talked last time, I started going to international events. Like that was my first ones right after we started talking last time. But ever since then, I've learned that it's an experience kind of thing. People in Europe are fighting every weekend, and they get more exposure to that kind of international competition.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to do the best with what we have in Canada here, and we have to travel to Europe and Asia and other tournaments in South America. So it's harder for us to have that experience early on. I've learned that that you have to have experience and keep giving yourself chances to go and get experience. And as well as the physical side, I've learned that my growth spurt kind of affected a few things in my judo. I've changed a few things.
Give me an example.
First, last time we talked, I was 73 kilograms, or barely 70 when I was fighting 73, and now I'm basically 92, 93 kilograms fighting 90 kilos. So strength has changed incredibly for me. And cardio is another thing that I had to adapt when I got bigger, because I had 2 growth spurts, 10 kilos each shot,
Wow.
And those were in 1 month spans too, so it kind of changed that. And also speed.
2 in 1 month?
Yeah,
Or
2.
Two separate. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I had one I remember where I went from 70 kilos to 82 kilos, and I actually was injured then, but I still did weight training, and that's when it happened. And the second one was 5 months later, and I stayed 5 months in 81 kilos before going to 90. So it was crazy. But yeah, that's what it's changed for me.
As far as technique, since you've gained more power, are you doing particular how has this change impacted your game as far as techniques? Tachiwaza and Iniwaza. Are there any particular throws that you've incorporated that you didn't do when you were 73?
Yeah, well, I think I was more of an all-around fighter. When I was I was doing a bit of everything when first standing Tachiwaza. I think I was more of that all-around fighter when I was 73 kilograms, because I was more built for that. But now I think that I'm concentrating more on a standard grip, traditional grip, which is with the lapel and the sleeve, and I think that works perfectly for me, because a lot of taller guys in my category, I'm not that tall myself, I'm 5'8", so I need to fight those tall guys. And specific throws, maybe Sode Tsurikomi Goshi is probably one of my best throws. Taetoshi. I still do Uchimata even though I'm small, and I get it good because I go under the person,
Mm-hmm.
But for techniques, that's pretty much what I've been focusing on,
Ben's always been better, because he also started when he was 2 or 3 years old. For instance, there's a move called Tap Taetoshi.
Okay.
And it was Phil Takahashi, actually, that showed him that at Takahashi Dojo when Ben was about 4 years old.
Wow.
Ben couldn't do Tap Taetoshi. It's an extremely technical, tough... I can't do it, and Natalie can't do it. Only a few people can actually do it very well.
Can you explain what the difference between a taitoshi and a tap taitoshi
a
is?
traditional taitoshi is basically a body drop, and you use your hands to kind of hurl someone over using your legs as a low lever under the knee, and you kind of snap back, pushing the leg, and the person's momentum is going forward. So you take both hands, basically.
It's a hand throw, right?
It's a hand throw, or it's a whole body throw, but it's a hand throw predominantly.
Right.
There's various ways of doing it, but there's a certain way that Phil did it, that he would actually set it up by doing kind of a tap with his left foot, because they're both lefties. Phil was a lefty and Ben's a lefty.
Okay.
And it forces a reaction, and then you can do a double tap, and now Ben's actually done a triple tap.
What?
And at 90 kilos, he fights like he's still 73, and his speed is still there. Very explosive, very powerful, and that's it's been a maturity in terms of technique at that level. And the other thing that's happened is, because he's a big thrower, Ben has a dozen throws that work. And just to put it in perspective, most people have maybe 1 or 2. And it's the same thing, they go to it all the time. But Ben can adapt in situations. And just even at the Nationals this weekend, he was doing Taetoshi predominantly, Seoi and Osoto on one day. And that was at U21. And in the seniors, he did a couple of Taetoshis, but he was doing Uchimata. He did a Sasai, He did foot sweeps, like different types of things. So you can't predict what's going to happen. It just happens because of what's there. But you need that maturity of knowing the techniques and knowing when to use them and putting it all together. And that has all matured, I think, because of the training at the INS and under the direction of Janusz, as an example. And it started, with Phil when he was like 3 or 4, or with Natalie and myself. But it's people like Phil that kind of showed him that little gem. Can't change the technique. It's set, and people have tried to change it because everybody's got a different way of doing it.
Sure.
But the style and the way Ben does it for his body type and his strength works for him, and it probably won't change. That's one of his go-to throws. He's got other ones too, but we just noticed that he's just matured in that sense.
You were mentioning just a few minutes ago that in Europe the scene enables competitors essentially to compete on a weekly if they wanted. And as you were explaining that, I almost sensed like, is there do you feel a bit of frustration with that dichotomy for North American competitors? Instead of a European or Central Asian.
Yeah, well, I mean, like you have to, like I said, you have to do the best with what you have, and I know, like a lot of people are probably thinking the same thing. European people are fighting every weekend, and that's why they're so good, or they're getting better faster, is because they have that exposure every weekend, or if they wanted to every month, But us, we have to really travel. However, I think that when we do go out of the country, you have to make the best out of it and learn the most while you're over there. Every moment you have to like take in and learn something to catch up to those people or stay ahead, for some of us. So you need to really, appreciate those events and like understand the concepts behind judo at those events, so that when you come back, you could stay ahead of the game. You know what I mean? So that's what it is.
In the last year, who's been someone who in the last year, who's really pushed you as far as competition-wise? Which competitor has really pushed you to the next level?
Here in Canada?
Internationally.
Yeah.
And then give us the Canadian.
Well, I mean, internationally, it's hard to have like a rival or something like that internationally yet, because, we're still at a level where some of them stop, some of them continue, some of them move categories. But I really think that, the guy actually fought at the World Championships for 3rd place. The Russian guy. Yeah.
The tall He's Russian very guy. Tall. He's like 6'5", right?
Yeah, he was 6'5". Tallest guy I've ever fought in my life. He's probably like, he kind of like kicked it off for me, like he's the guy that like I kind of remember in the back of my mind, thinking like, okay, like I need to keep going, I need to keep better, because like I beat him and I made it to 3rd place, World Championships. And I know that's like my marker, internationally, it's that guy. But in Canada, I can't say, like, I've been fighting less and less in Canada these days, Sure. Like in the past year I fought like twice or 3 times, in Canada. So I can't really have a national rival or anything like that either. It's kind of just been like everyone, training at the center mostly, Just seeing them train hard makes me want to train even harder,
Was Calgary a cakewalk for you? Was it easy? I shouldn't say that, but was it easy? No offense to Hey, I'm just saying, man. Like, come on.
No, I know what you mean. But, so, I don't know. I kind of went in there with the mentality that, I think like that, it's just how I think. I think that I'm the best, But I went in there and I thought, I know there's like some guys that are stronger than others, but for U21, there was one guy in the final, I fought him like 5 times already. So like a 6th time fighting him, I knew it was going to be a little more strategic and stuff like that. But I don't know, I kind of knew that he was going to be one of the tougher guys to beat, but I still pulled through and I did it. And in the senior category, it was that semifinal and final that were tougher, But yeah, I mean, I had to play strategic again and, like, what I had to do, and I did it. But the other fights, I guess you could say, like, they're a lot easier than those fights I just mentioned. Yeah, for sure.
What is it, as your dad previously described you 3 years ago when I spoke with him, as a judo nerd, someone who's so absorbed in judo in terms of statistics, trivia, history, so on and so forth. You track all the competitions. You're aware. If I asked you who won the Worlds 20 years ago, you would know that, this and the other. Now you're in it. You're an international competitor. You're attending events where if you scan the room, you see people that you maybe 5 years ago were watching online, people that you admired. You're taking pictures with some of these folks. They're your heroes. Well, what does that mean to go through that whole journey of competing here in Canada? at the regional, well, provincial level, national level, and then making that major leap into the elite in terms of international level, and now being part of that judo community.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
as a fan and a competitor type.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, like in the beginning, when you start going out internationally, you don't really have that, notoriety, internationally. But like now, once you start going even more and more, and you start winning things, then people start knowing who you are and stuff like that, and especially nationally, when I started getting national notoriety, that's when I started getting like the international feel. I feel like I was in it, and right now that's what it is. I'm seeing people that I used to admire 5 years ago, like you said, and it's like, wow, like they're really right in front of me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like I'm part of that now. You know what I mean?
Well, you are, yeah. I mean, you're competing at that level.
So it's like, it feels great. It feels like once you start making a name for yourself, it gets like not much easier, but it's just like you have that, you have space for yourself. You know what I mean? It's not like you're intimidated by anyone. Like I'm not intimidated by anyone. I could say that, because I feel like I have like some space for myself internationally and nationally too. So it feels good though. It feels like international events is just like it's where I belong. Like and national too, but both of them.
I asked you this question last time about pressure in competition and in terms of mentally preparing yourself. Now that you're competing at that level, at respectfully the highest level of competitive judo and combat sports, what role has how has your mental training evolved? Has it evolved in terms of your preparation and routine?
Yeah, it has. I mean, like since last time we spoke, once again, things have changed, and as you get older, you start realizing that some things affect you more than others, and other things that affected you when you're younger don't affect you anymore. So, I mean, in terms of pressure, I remember I made an Instagram post after the senior closed national championships in January on Instagram, and I put like pressure, like nah, that's what you put in tires. You know what I mean, like kind of thing. But for me, I don't feel any pressure. I always feel like I'm just going for it. I'm going for it, and that's all that counts for me. I rather try and fail than not try at all. 'Cause some people are more reserved. They don't want to fail. They don't want to be seen, failing. So I feel like that's not the right mentality. You have to try and try and try and try again and again, and that's what you needed to do. And yeah, like you said, that's just what it is, ever since the last time we talked. So that's what's changed for me.
So you don't feel any pressure?
No, I don't feel any, I don't feel any pressure. Like I know there's some people that are not counting on me. I don't want to say counting on me, but like that want me to win, and I know in the back of my mind there's thoughts.
Oh, sorry, I meant pressure in terms of in the match.
Oh, in the match.
No, I'm not talking about that sort of pressure.
Oh, okay. That's a different kind of pressure.
No, I'm talking about in terms of during a match. If you're feeling your opponent, let's say has more experience than you, or this, that, and the other. How do you deal with that?
That neither. I don't feel any more. I don't feel any pressure, because like it's just like he's trying to win, but you're trying to win too. And like there's two fighters, there's one victory. So either one of you win or lose, and I'd rather be the one winning, obviously. But like I feel like you're normal. In front of me, you're not any god to me or anything like that. I feel like I always have like a mental edge on whoever I'm fighting, because it's just something I do to prepare myself mentally. But I feel like it's either me or you that's gonna win, and I'm gonna do everything I can to win. You know what I mean? So like I don't really feel any pressure. You could be like the best guy in the world, but it doesn't mean anything to me. At the end of the day, I'm still there to win, so it doesn't change anything for me like that. Yeah.
The other thing I think is also psychologically. So a funny story is he now works with a sports psychologist whose name is Terry Orlick.
Okay.
And Terry was a long time at the University of
Ottawa. Yeah.
He's now retired, but Ben is one of his clients still, so to speak.
Interesting.
And Terry was my sports psychologist and Natalie's sports psychologist.
Wow.
So it's like you kind of go full circle.
Sure.
And I never interrupt. I don't ask Terry, and I certainly don't ask Ben what he's journaling. Like, we don't read it, and what their conversations are like. I would love to know.
Sure.
Because it's kind of like Back to the Future.
Yeah.
But I could see whatever Terry's talking about. I can see it in Ben's actions. He's focused in the moment, which is very important in judo. Can't be worrying about the past or the present. It's right there, right at the moment that counts. It's kind of a discipline and a work ethic. It's being the best you can be in that situation and trusting your intuition to rise. And I see those things in action from Ben. I don't know if that's what he's working on, but I've noticed that maturity as well. And then lastly, Ben's an attacker and a thrower. So there's probably nobody that attacks more than him in a match. What I mean by that is when the match starts, both contestants bow. The referee says hajime, which is Japanese for start or begin.
Yeah.
You basically get your a hold of your partner in the grip that works for you, and everybody's got a different style. And then what a lot of people do is just kind of feel each other out, and there's some non-combativity, and it takes a while before attacks get happening. Ben goes right to it right away. And so in a match, he could have, in a 4-minute match as an example, he could have 15, 20 really good attacks.
Wow.
Whereas most people might have 7 or 8, or they're kind of, playing the game a little bit. And that's too much. And Ben's personality is like that. He can overdo it. So what he's doing now, and we've noticed, is that he's dialing back, and he's attacking when he needs to. And he's conserving energy by doing that, and he's more mature as a fighter.
What's the atmosphere like at the National Training Center? Describe it as a competitor. What's the mood and the energy like, and how does that environment enhance all the various practitioners on the tatamis?
Well, I mean, like, the atmosphere is great, I think before at the old National Center it was a little different. I wasn't around back then, so I can't say anything. But right now, I feel like it's good. Everyone's there to improve. There's like the people that train, harder than others specifically, and that's the people that I used to tend to look up to, and I still look up to them too. Like national people that are top, a few of them in particular. But it's amazing. You go there, you're training, the facility's great. There's everything you need there. It's just like I'm there to improve. That's it. I'm not there to, not that I'm not there to make friends or anything like that. They are obviously people I interact with and stuff like that on a daily basis. But I'm there to improve ultimately. So it's like an amazing feeling every time I walk in there. I know I'm gonna improve.
What aspect of his game do you think needs improvement? Sorry, Ben, I'm putting you.
Yeah. Well, I think that's one thing that I think he needs to keep working on is trusting his skill set and his intuition, and being a bit more tactical and strategic, not having to go whole hog.
Sure.
Because the more offensive you are, sometimes you can get countered.
Right.
The second thing is he's very good at tachiwaza. That's his bread and butter. But I think eventually he will appreciate and he will grow into more newaza. So kind of like the grappling side of the sport. And Ben can do it. He can do arm locks. He can do chokes and submissions. It's just not what he particularly uses right now. But I see a day when that will kind of pan out. Because in a competitive situation, especially internationally, if you can finish that off in a very tough match, it just works better because you conserve energy and you can move forward. If the opportunity is there, take it. So those are the two things I think.
Schedule-wise, you're training 5 days a week?
Correct, yeah.
Okay. And is that every day, or is that... give us an example give us an overview, a summary, if you don't mind, of your...
Well, until recently, I actually got banned from practicing 3 times a day.
Really? Why is that?
Yeah, because I don't know. I was.
Were you going too hard?
Yeah, I was going too hard. Pedal to the metal for me all the time. But I think I put too much, pedal to the metal, and at some point I started feeling bad. So,
like you physically felt
no energy. I was crashing a lot at training, at night training, because night practice is the hardest one. But just to give you an example, Monday mornings I'd be, here in Ottawa. I'd train. I'd do gym for like 2 hours, and I'd take a bus to Montreal because I come back weekends too, to Ottawa, see my family. But yeah, and then after that I go to Montreal, and I train at night, and then Tuesday the night training in Montreal, and after that Tuesday morning I do judo for like an hour and a half. Tuesday afternoon, which is where no one really goes, but I still work with my main coach Janusz, and he'd make me do stuff in the afternoon for an hour and a half, and then at night I do 2 hours and a half. Wow. So those Tuesdays and Thursdays were like that.
Wow.
That's why until recently I got banned, because I started feeling like bad. I did that for I always did it usually, but like until recently, I think because of the workload and my competitions and stuff, it didn't align for me, and I felt really bad. So
when you say you felt bad, what did you feel? What exhaustion or
like just pure exhaustion, like when you feel like you want, and in your head that you want to train hard, and you're doing a drill, the first drill to practice at night, and it's the first 10 seconds of the drill, and to say that you're already exhausted, like you finished the entire practice, that you feel as if, you know, you don't have any more breath and that you just can't physically stand up anymore. That's how I felt, you know.
Jeez.
That's
intense.
That's intense, you know.
Now, did someone point it out and say, hey, time out, you're overtraining? Or was it
it was like a mutual thing for me and my coaches, you know, or my coaches in specific. Like, I started feeling like just like really bad in general, you know. And then it was visible too, you know. There's some nights where I just didn't perform at all, you know. I couldn't even throw one person because I just didn't have any energy. And like people were like what, like that doesn't usually happen, like not trying to like improve my status or anything but you know. And after that my coaches started seeing that, and whatever, I talked to my nutritionist about it and physiotherapist, and then they kind of got together and they said, you know, like, this is too much, man, like you need to stop. And then I was like at first I was kind of stubborn. I was like, no, I want to keep going, you know, this is what I've always been doing, I'm going to keep going. But then I kind of understood that if that keeps going like that, you know, I'm going to get injured, bad things are going to happen, you know, down the road. So I stopped.
What's it like training under Giannis? And tell us, I believe he's a former gold medalist in
Olympics, silver and bronze. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, Olympics, silver and bronze. Speak to us as someone training under him. How is he as a instructor, coach? And
he's it's great training under his supervision because the man's been there himself. You know, he's been into the Olympic final, the highest level of fight you could ever have in judo. You know what I mean? The Olympic final, you know. So I kind of like, first of all, when I first saw him, you know, that's all that was on my mind, you know. And I was like, this guy has so much experience, so much to give, you know. I'm going to stay with him. And it's been 4 years since I met him, you know, that man. And ever since then, I've always been training with him. You know, I've always been doing pretty much every judo session has been related to him somehow, you know, everything that he taught me. But it's amazing, you know, because he has so much experience, so much to give. Everything that he says for me, you know, makes sense. And he knows what makes sense for me. You know, he takes care of me and stuff like that too at training. And it's just amazing, you know, to have someone like that train you, you know.
You mentioned, I asked you about being a carded athlete.
Yes.
And how that impacts your ability to train and compete and so on. Tell us a funny story from one of your you've been traveling a lot.
Yeah.
Tell us a funny story or experience you've had abroad, because I think you've been all over now. You've been to various countries.
Yeah, that's true.
Lots of stamps on that passport, right?
Yeah, so getting that passport stamped, you know. Yeah. Trying to get it all stamped up. But for real, I think that, you know, there's funny experiences happening everywhere, and I don't know. Maybe I'm trying to think about one that was quite funny. I think it was
memorable experience.
Or a memorable experience.
Yeah.
There's a lot of funny ones, but it's hard to remember all the funny ones. But memorable experiences, I don't know. It's just like, you know, going to different countries and really seeing how, you know, obviously you're there for judo, and I'm there for judo. I know that I'm there for judo and to win and stuff like that, and try to do the best that I can. But seeing like different countries and really like just walking in the streets, you know, for example, walking my last competition in Bosnia and Herzegovina, the morning of, I was walking to the competition, and you see like bullet holes, you know, in like houses and stuff like that. And it's like of the war they had there in Yugoslavia back a while ago, 20 years or something like that. But just really seeing how, you know, people live and what life is like over there in a different country. It's like completely different from here in Canada, you know. It's just like seeing, you know, getting into what it actually is, you know, and really just living like they're living for a little bit, you know. Just like those are the memorable experiences that happen all the time, because like when you go internationally, that's what I kind of like tend to look at most, I guess you could say.
So you really try to absorb outside of the competition when you're abroad. You really try to take as much in as far as all the different countries that you're...
Exactly, because like, I don't know, I feel like some people always have that vacation mode thing, even when they're at the competition and stuff like that, and there's nothing wrong with that if it works for them. But I know that, you know, I try to enjoy whatever I'm doing, you know, when I'm doing it, while I'm doing it, live in the moment kind of thing. And then when it comes to judo competition, I'm all business, you know what I mean? I just switch that off and I switch it back on the night after I'm done fighting. But for that I don't know how long that period of time is, but for usually it's like 6 to 10 hours, you know, a competition lasts. For those 6 to 10 hours, I'm all business, you know.
Now you're going to Austria next, for a training camp
next week.
What? How long are you there, and what can you expect at this camp?
I'm there for a week, and I'm actually doing a competition on the weekend, and it's like another European Judo Cup, like the 2 previous ones I did in Portugal and Bosnia. And then right after that, I'm not fighting. I'm doing a training camp. And I could expect to see some, you know, high level judo there, because I think it's the second biggest European cup junior cup that is in the entire world, you know. So after Berlin, this one in Leibniz, I think, Austria, is the second biggest one. So there's a lot of competition there. Guys, I'll be fighting later this year at the World Junior Championships, and I'm just looking forward to, you know, getting even more experience and trying to win it for me, you know.
Now, but before the competition, you're going there, you're going to be rolling and training with people that you compete against.
Yeah.
How much do you give away in those situations in terms of technique? Like, is it an awkward kind of thing where when you know you're training with your
future competitors?
Yeah, the people that want to take you out.
Yeah.
Describe that. Describe that. I mean, I should put it that way. But
no,
you know what it is.
I know what it is, yeah. Well, I mean, like, I don't think people pay that much attention to that, you know, because there's so many competitors now and stuff like that. And, you know, I think if you have the most techniques, it's the best because people aren't just anticipating one of them. You know what I mean? So I don't think people pay attention to it. It's not really awkward because, like, you just can't talk with that person. You know, they don't speak your language. So it's like
there's a language.
There's a language barrier for sure. But I just feel like you're there to, like, try your best and improve. And, you know, you're not trying to hide anything unless you really have, you know, superstition for that or something like that. But I think it's just, you know, it's a great experience. You're just training and trying to you know, kick that guy's ass. He's trying to kick your ass, you know. So it's funny.
So now we're 2 years. Your dad shaking his head.
Yeah, right?
Big question. Do you think we'll be seeing him in Tokyo in 2 years? Well, you know, it's 2 years. I mean, anything can happen.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I think the question actually is more what's Ben think. And Ben, I think, thinks it's in his head. The qualifications, the IJF has a 2-year window, and those that qualification period opens up this weekend in China. It's called Hot or Hot. I don't know how you pronounce it. And our senior Olympic team is there now.
Okay.
And it'll be like a mad dash all over the world where everybody's going to be going to all these different tournaments in different regions. So we've got Grand Slams, Grand Prix now. The world is different from when we fought. You've got regional, continental. There's at least 5 different types of competitions, and then the worlds. And it's just going to be, I think, a mad dash that everybody's going to try and collect these points. And they basically take the top 18 guys. I'm not sure about ladies, but it's the top 18 basically per category that make it.
Okay.
So if Ben keeps, you know, performing the way he is, sticks to the plan. He's starting to do more now internationally at the senior level. He's first year U21, so we have to keep that in perspective.
Sure.
He'll be doing both of that, and I foresee and probably predict in the next year he'll be probably on some of those circuits. And if he can do well, he'll start accumulating points, and the decision might be made like in the last 6 months as an example of that qualifying period, where some people might flame out early. So I think there's going to be, and not just in Ben's case, in 2020, I think you're going to see a lot of the old guard still there, but I think there'll be some churn. There'll be some like U18 world medalists like Ben, who have gone, they'll still be U21s at that point, but I imagine some of them will be making it, and Ben, I think, would be one of the people in that mix. And there'll be some U21s that he's competing against now that will probably be there too. So out of 18, maybe 6 or 7 that aren't senior is my prediction. Maybe 6, something like that. So we'll see.
We're 2 years away from Tokyo 2020, which is I mean, it's going to be an amazing Olympic because obviously it's going to be in Japan, and judo's of course a Japanese art and sport. Do you know whether or not you'll be going to
competing?
I mean, there's 2 years. You're gaining points to.
Actually, the Olympic qualification starts this weekend.
Oh wow!
So
okay.
it's like a good time to talk about this. But
yes,
it's starting this weekend for the next 2 years. I think it closes like a certain amount of time before the games. But
okay,
I don't know right now. I don't know, but I can tell you one thing is that I'm for sure, 100% sure, I have in the back of my head. You know what I mean? Like it might not be happening now because I'm still a junior, but I have my plans. You know, and I think that maybe when I start fighting more, you know, more at more senior events, then you know opportunities will start opening up even more. But I could guarantee you that it's in my head, the goal. It's not impossible. I think it's very, very possible. I think that, my name's on the list as one of the, competitors to get there,
I mean, as an outsider looking in, I mean, with that news release article that was released on the 8th of May, I'm seeing that as like a vote of big confidence, right? I mean... Yeah, I did, because you're 18.
I'm 18.
Yeah, yes. I mean, this is and it's Tokyo 2020. What does that mean for judokas as far as being able to compete at the Olympics? But this one is a special one for judo. Well, speak to us on that.
I think that for the judo, the judo community, the judo family, I think it'll be something big, because it's first time ever since 1964 that the games are back in Tokyo. It'll be it'll be a celebration for the judo people, because it's the first time it's back, in the homeland of judo, which is Japan. I think that people are fired up for it. I mean, you ask anyone, I'm guessing they'll be excited and happy it's there. I just think it's going to be great. The atmosphere. I went to the Tokyo Grand Slam to watch this December or last December, and it's an incredible atmosphere, because everyone knows what judo is over there. So it's like
it's their hockey, right? As far as participation rates,
so
and
just everyone knows what it is, and that's what makes it even more popular, more exciting. Yeah.
Now, what? Since I last spoke to you, I mean, in the previous interview, there were a lot of talks about major influencers as. I think you mentioned Koga as being someone that you looked up to as a competitor type. Over the years, has that changed? Have you gravitated towards?
It has changed. I honestly think that when I was younger, like 3 years ago, I was like looking up to certain people, and I kind of got like some motivation from each and one of those individuals that I looked up to. But like now, it's less judo like stars that I'm looking up to. It's like I don't look up to like any judo stars anymore. I just like admire some people, and like I feel like I am my own like motivation now. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
So like it changed completely, since the last time we spoke. But one of my biggest influencers, I guess you could say, that's not even in the sport of judo, that played basketball, like just his personality, who he is, and what he's done in the sport is, Allen Iverson.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, he played for, Philadelphia 76ers and stuff, but him, he's just been like, I watched a documentary about him, and I like read a few books about him, and now like he's the guy I looked up to for like, not the judo side, obviously, but like for who he is. Like it just changed completely since the last time we talked,
What, as far as, it's you're 18. You're a young man in this sport, and how long do you think you see yourself competing? Yeah, I know it's a weird question to ask, but
it's fine,
because I read a few quotes where you spoke about retirement
in the article.
Yeah.
Well, to be honest, I hope that I compete for many more years to come, and just keep doing what I'm doing. But honestly, like, you don't know when your career is going to end at this point. I'm 18. However, I do think that the success I get, I want to get like relatively young. You know what I mean?
Right.
I want to have the success. I'm not waiting for success to happen to me. I'm going to get it like right now, because the earlier I could grasp it, the earlier I could get it and collect it, then like I have more options for the future, and after that, more time and stuff like that. But I just think that I'm trying to win like now and when I'm young. And obviously you're winning over your career, you're losing over your career. That's normal, it has a start and an end. That's the point of a career. But like trying to achieve things young and know that you're ready now is probably like the best mindset that you could have to like keep going and enjoy everything.
Are you enjoying the process as far as all aspects of
I'm enjoying it, because I think I focus on the right things. There's some people that, well, I'm not talking for anyone, but I feel like there's some people that don't focus on the right things, and I feel like I'm focusing on the right things. I'm not doing it for the money. I'm not doing it for carding. I'm not doing it to prove to anyone that I'm something. I don't need that. I don't need validation or anything like that. I'm doing it to do it for like myself, really. And even my parents, they said in that article that they want to let me experience things on my own, and like, they went through it too, so that kind of helps for support. But they really want to leave me on my own and do it on my own, so like I said, it comes back to a pressure thing. I don't have any pressure, not even for my parents, So it feels good to just focus on the right things and just enjoy it completely, every day.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
When you mentioned in our previous interview as well, like when you were speaking about your passion for the sport, it seemed like it was something that even at a young age of 15, you truly enjoyed being in this journey, right?
Yeah.
10 years from now, what do you hope? Where do you hope you'll be 10 years from now? I mean, that's 28, to 2 years away from being 30. Where do you think you'll be? And I have a follow up for that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, like, you mean like physically or like anywhere, like everything?
Wherever you want to take it.
Okay. Well, I feel this is funny. Like I'm trying to predict my future, but not really.
I know it's a strange thing to ask.
But for sure, I feel like honestly, in 10 years from now, if you ask me right now, I hope that I'll be, towards the end of my judo career.
Yeah.
I feel like I'll be, I'll have a successful. I will have had a successful career by then. I'll have done everything I wanted to do in the sport, and I feel like I'll just be either one, retired and still integrated in the sport, giving back and doing what I'm doing, or either completely in a different direction. You know what I mean? Like I don't know, living in like Miami or something. Doing other things with business investments or something like that. That interests me. But either one or the other. all or nothing for that situation right now. That's what I'm thinking about.
Are you involved? Follow financial markets and are you involved in?
Well, actually, my brother is doing really well in that right now. He's actually he's all about the internet, and marketing and stuff like that. So he,
so you should hire him as your agent.
Exactly. Well, that's that. He actually mentioned that at some point. I was like, what? That's a good idea. But yeah, I'm actually very interested in that because my brother does it. So
he's involved in marketing comms
stuff. And he has meetings like every week. He's always on the phone when he's not doing construction work, and
right.
He's making things happen, and it kind of makes me motivated to do what he's doing. It's harder because I have judo taking up some time in my life too, but he kind of has that drive, and it kind of makes me like what he's doing too. So yeah, that's what we're doing.
That's cool. What I wanted to ask you about as a follow-up is what are your thoughts on do you follow other combat sports such as mixed martial arts? And
I see highlight reels and videos like that, and I do follow a few pages on Instagram and stuff.
Beyond that, are you a fan of the sport?
On like that one sport, UFC, I think I've always been a fan. I think I'll always will be a fan because it's the ultimate fighting combat. You know what I mean? It's like everything together. It's just amazing, to see people fight like that and, have no fear really and just go out there and do what they do. It's like, it's incredible,
Yeah, we've seen Ronda Rousey crossover, obviously. Kyla Harrison is crossing over soon. I think she's fighting in a few weeks, I believe. And even on the Canadian side, Aubin Mercier is fighting in the UFC. Do you see a future in that?
Actually,
I'm like afraid to ask because your dad.
No.
Your dad is here. It's like, oh shit! I don't want. I'm just. Hey, I think people want to know. Like it's they see high level amateur competitor. Sometimes the progression is to cross over from amateur into professional combat sports, and we see that with a lot of Japanese and European combat sports athletes and American crossing over into MMA as one sport. But what are your thoughts on that?
I think, as from my point of view right now, I believe that I do think it's something that interests me in terms of like the transition and the cross and already having a background in judo. You know what I mean? Right. But possibly in the future, I think that I'll make the decision and I'll be like, either I'm doing it like all out, or I'm not doing it because I don't want to do like a little bit and then disappear. You know what I mean?
Sure,
I either go fully in it or fully out of it, all or nothing again. But for now, I think it's something that's to keep in the back of my head, because I feel like it's just you already have a background in judo, so why not use that to your advantage for something else? You know what I mean?
Do you think Teddy Riner is going to get caught in the next? Do you think he's going to get a gold in the upcoming 2020 Tokyo Olympics? I know I'm asking you a lot of psychic questions to predict the future, but
it's good though. For like, I don't know. I honestly I feel like in the plus 100 kilogram category, I feel like there are a few contenders for him to beat.
Like the Georgian
Tashishvili. Exactly. That's just what I was gonna say. That guy. I feel like that guy. has something waiting for him. You know, I feel like he really does. I actually feel like.
Have you trained with him, by the way? Have you?
I've never really put hands on that guy. No,
Okay,
not on any of them. But
So as far as the heavyweights, you have not.
no, because
Okay.
it's just there's too much weight there.
Sure.
You know, but
Yeah.
maybe in the future, maybe who knows.
I mean, you're still growing. Who
Yeah,
knows?
Exactly,
I mean,
exactly.
Yeah.
But I honestly think that there's a few contenders for Teddy to rise up to. But he's the greatest judoka ever. I think that he'll rise up to the occasion. I think that he'll pull through, but I think it'll be tougher for him in the next few years. Because there's guys like that are young and they're hungry, for victory, and they want that. They want to take it away from him, But I feel like he's there and he's gonna stand up and hold his ground.
Thank you very much for your time, and looking forward to see more of you on the tatamis, and all the best with your international competition. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much.